And a lot of hospitals have now come up with these packages. We don't want to get to the day of delivery, and you're telling me figures that are threatening to kill me before the child is born.
And it actually works very seamlessly, and you're able to walk out of the hospital maybe only having paid for the thermometer. They are able to cover the entire bill. Earlier in the show, I mentioned that I've made 2 trips into the delivery room, and only once did I come out, with a live baby.
Oh, wow.
So that process is, when we talk of maternity, it's one of those processes that you go through and you come out of there knowing, yes, there's God. And then you don't take these things for granted,
Yeah. Truth be told, a lot of Kenyans do not plan for maternity, do not plan for giving birth. We treat it as an emergency.
Unfortunately so, and I'll tell you, Mali, it's always so heartbreaking, hearing that call like, Mama Bima, I'm expectant. Can you get me a maternity cover? Because of course, my response is always really heartbreaking even to the.
And we are going to delve into that and how and the hows and the whys of all of this.
Yes.
So welcome to episode 2 of Truth Be Told podcast. I am Malim Toto Mwanza.
And I'm yours truly, Charlene Kimara. You may call me Mama Bima Kenya.
Tumerudi.
Yes.
So, maternity. Okay. And then you got behind the scenes, you told me not pregnancy, it's expectancy.
Expectant mothers. Expectant mothers.
Kizungu.
Yes.
So, insurance companies and where I sit, we play a big role in this space to just make sure that we cover for maternity cases.
Yes.
And if the question is maternity covered, then yes, it is covered. But it has a few caveats here and there, which majorly require planning.
Yes.
Because today, if you come, as you've said, if someone comes and say, please, wanaume naomba tujipange.
Yes.
This thing of you've just discovered we are on, is it week 3? When do we get to know these things? Is it
Week 5, week 8?
Oh, thank you.
Something about week 8.
Oh, okay. So we are in week 8 and you are wondering, what do I do? And I get a lot of those calls. The call does not go straight to you're pregnant. It goes to, do you cover maternity? And you ask all the questions. I even give you a quote on the medical cover.
Yes.
And then finally you're like, and does the maternity cover have a waiting period?
Oh, yeah. And also the questions that follow after that. Yeah. Is there one that has a shorter period? Do you have one maybe that has like 4 months waiting period, 6 months waiting period? And of course you can beat someone quote unquote like who's already down, because anyway, carrying a child is a blessing in itself. Yes. So this is a joyous moment. So it's a huge congratulations kind of moment. Yes. But that aspect of carrying a baby is really not an emergency, can be planned better, because the maternity benefit in your medical policy will definitely have a waiting period. And this standard in Kenya is approximately 12 months waiting period. So if you're coming to purchase your medical cover to take care of the exact prenatal and the actual delivery, that already tells you if you've already conceived, then that cover cannot sort that actual.
So it'll be 10 to 12 months. Yes. And this is mostly for individual family covers.
Yes.
If you happen to be in a corporate cover, so most of the times, if not all the times, that is a waiting period that is waived.
Yes.
So you can access the cover immediately. Yes. And that is because of the numbers. So if you're in a corporate cover, you're in an organization, you're an employee, there's a number there. And that is what, as insurance, we call volumes. If I have volumes, then I've I've de-risked.
Yes.
I've spread my risk.
Yes.
So out of 40 employees, the probability of having all the 40 employees expectant at the same time is very rare. So in that case, I can be able to waive the waiting period. So you can actually have an employee joining your organization today and is already expectant 9 months in. They are reporting today, tomorrow they're going in.
Yes.
We will pay for it because of the spread of risk. But if it is an individual cover, which most of us will be in and we are looking to take, then the aspect of sure risk or certain risk, and that's what in insurance we do not cover certain risk. We are looking at uncertain risks.
Yes.
So we are saying this is something that might happen.
Yes.
So you want to mitigate against it.
Yes.
So for that matter, I will take up a cover, and that's where the issue of planning is. And I don't know, Mama Bima, if you're advocating for family planning, but even with hopes conversations, what is it that as a man I want to challenge you, or as a lady?
Yes.
We have independent women. You are clear that eventually I would want to get expectant in time.
Yes.
So what do I do now to take care of them?
Yes.
Yeah.
So one, and even before we go into that, Mali, I'm keen to hear, where does this maternity cover come as a standalone? Let's first show what is that, what does a maternity benefit look like? Does it come as a standalone benefit?
Okay.
Does it come within the inpatient, benefit? Do you need like inpatient? Do you need outpatient? Yes.
And pertinent question.
Yes.
And so we have what we call a primary cover.
Yes.
In a medical insurance cover.
Yes.
The primary cover in that is an inpatient cover. So inpatient is a cover where you would be admitted in hospital and will take care of your needs. That has to be purchased. That's a primary cover.
So it's the compulsory cover in a medical policy.
Very compulsory.
Yes.
So we start with that, and any limits you will see will always come with an inpatient option.
Yes.
Then we have optional benefits, which the secondary benefits, which is outpatient. We have maternity, we have dental and optical covers, we have personal accident covers within that. Some insurance medical covers have personal accident, we have last expense.
Yes.
Some of them have critical illness. So all those are optional covers. But the inpatient is the primary cover. And that, again, I'll go back to the issue of certain risk.
Yes.
The inpatient is an uncertain risk. It's a low-risk business.
Yes.
And that is why it's a primary solution.
Yes.
The outpatient, maternity, dental, and optical, you find most, if not all the times, it's a planned conversation.
Yes.
You already want to go to hospital. If you have spectacles like you do, you know that in another year
2 years.
or two, I'll need to change my specs. So then it becomes a certain risk. So we have to put it as an optional. So the first thing is inpatient. Everything else comes as a rider. Now, in between some of the different organizations and different products, you'll have a maternity cover within inpatient.
Yes.
And we're seeing that as something that is coming up. So it's offered as a rider within the inpatient. So it will not have a cost implication because you've paid for the inpatient.
Yes.
But within that inpatient maternity, for individual covers, a lot of them will have a waiting period.
Yes.
So they'll tell you, yes, you have an inpatient cover, which will kick in immediately once you pay the premiums. But the particular benefit that we're giving you as a rider, maternity, will have a waiting period. The flip side is that you can have emergency CS cesarean section, an emergency cesarean section cover, which has no waiting periods. But most of the time, that also has a caveat. It also has a limitation where it says it has to be the first ever.
Yes, that one. Yes.
So if and this is purely because if you already had a CS,
so the others are likely to be planned.
Yeah, the probability of the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 deliveries that you'll have will be CSs. So for that reason, it has to be the first ever emergency CS. So that's basically the inpatient. And then you'll have some within the inpatient maternity cover, and then you'll have those that sell the maternity cover outside.
Yes, as a standalone
benefit. As a standalone benefit, exactly. But remember, it is not, you can't go and purchase maternity cover only.
That's the other question.
Yeah.
A lot of clients want to know, can I buy a standalone maternity benefit? So when they're coming to you, some even borderline get angry. They're like, no, I don't need inpatient.
Yes, I don't need these other things.
Like, I want maternity alone. And I think that's the issue. It's maybe also a conversation that we need to have around Kenyans really wanting to just insure the sure risk.
Yes.
You get, so I want to pay 20,000 to the insurance company so that they can pay my 200K bill, a few months down the line.
Yeah.
So there's a question there where there seems to be, we don't appreciate insurance in what it's actually supposed to do for us.
Yeah. So, and I think we said this in the first episode. The insurance company is in it for the money.
Yes. I think, Mali, there's a problem where Kenyans, I want to come and pay 20,000.
Yes.
And 6 months down the line, I want the insurance company to fork out 200K for me during delivery.
Yes.
And sometimes it's like, I mean, do we want to drive the insurance companies into bankruptcy? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But even with that, I do understand when a client is asking for a maternity-only cover. And I do think as an industry, we probably will get there. I don't know, maybe because we need to address the needs that are there. But as is, a maternity-only cover has a very high risk.
Yes.
And so for that reason, we want to say, okay, how do we bundle it with something else?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, but I think there was a question. You were asking something?
Yeah, speaking of which, I don't know if you guys have covered this completely. What does a maternity insurance cover typically include and exclude? Specifically, could you clarify what is covered and not covered in terms of prenatal and postnatal care? And maybe I can add, let's just sit with that. Additionally, how does the coverage address the needs of the mother and the baby? Are they treated as one entity at the policy, or are they considered separately?
No.
Those are 3 questions.
That's a lot. Okay, so I think if I remember, we have what does the cover entail?
Yes.
What does it take care of? So generally a medical maternity cover that falls within the medical cover takes care of every step of the way from the antenatal or prenatal conversations.
Yes.
And prenatal here is the you need to see your gyna.
Yes.
You need to see general doctor on consultation. How is the baby doing from inception?
Yes.
What vitamins should I take? You should know this better.
Yes, you need to go to the lab and have tests done.
Yeah.
You need to be sent to do an ultrasound by your doctor. So all the costs that are incurred every time you go to the pharmacy to get your omega supplements, all the costs that are incurred during that.
There'll be ultrasounds in between there. You'll need to know the sex of the child.
Yes.
All that is covered within the maternity benefit.
Yes.
And then, of course, there's the delivery.
Yes.
There's the normal delivery.
Yes.
There's the emergency cesarean section. There's also the selective or elective CS. And there's double birth. What?
No. Wait. And speaking of which, Lali, is that covered during? Is that actually covered by mainstream underwriters?
What is it? What is it called?
A water bath.
A water bath.
You don't
Okay.
just call it bubbles.
Okay, so depending on your limits
Yes.
and the package that you've taken, and some of this can be covered.
Yes.
So you'll have the high-end deliveries, you'll have your normal deliveries, and these packages range from for a normal delivery in Kenya now, it's about 40,000 to 120,000. Normal deliveries become expensive. That's why we need to plan for this conversation.
Yes.
And then the CS conversations can start all the way from 100
Yes.
to 200, 300.
Let me shock you,
Yes.
Mali. A good friend of mine went and made an inquiry at our national referral hospital, KNH, the prime care side. You know, lots of people don't know that KNH actually has a
It's as a bougie side.
very
Yeah,
bougie
yeah.
side. And she inquired about a CS delivery.
Yeah.
And the number she was given, she was told to prepare approximately 300,000.
Wow. To deliver.
Yes, KNH CS delivery.
My friend.
Yes.
It gets expensive.
It does get expensive.
Uh-huh.
And the truth is, the first time I made my way into a maternity ward
Yeah.
was, this was back in 2016. And I remember at the time we paid, our bill was about 315,000. So factor in medical inflation to date.
Okay.
The second time was in 2018. Same, around the same. This was a much easier delivery.
Yeah.
So no complications, no nothing. Same figure, north of 300.
Wow.
I have come across clients who've told me, you know, Charlene, when I delivered last,
Yes.
our maternity costs, like our actual delivery costs,
Yeah.
because maybe of complications, was north of 600K.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
This thing is expensive.
So it already tells you,
Yeah.
you know, I'm happy that we're doing this as our second episode of
Yes.
the TBT
Yes,
podcast,
yes.
because we really need to sensitize,
Yes.
you know, our viewers, you know, fellow Kenyans,
Yeah.
on really what a maternity delivery, if not well planned for, how it can impact your pocket.
It's heavy.
Yes.
So thank you for those. You've thrown numbers out there.
Yes.
We need to plan. And then, so I'm sure I know someone will ask, okay, so if that's the cost of the delivery, then how much is it to insure
Yes.
against that risk?
Yes.
And so the prices differ depending on the product and the package that you get. But generally, this will be about 30 to 50,000.
Yes.
You can get a good cover of about 100 to 150 or even 200.
For the maternity benefit.
Yes.
The maternity benefit.
Yes,
So there would be additional costs for the inpatient limit, you know, or maybe even your outpatient, depending on the kind of package you're taking. But also, kuna packages are mwananchi.
Yes.
Dogo.
Yes.
You know, like budget plans, you know, if you're starting maybe with about 50,000 cover, it could cost you about 7,500 shillings
Yes.
for the maternity limit. If you're going, say, for a 100K benefit, it could cost approximately 15,000 shillings for that maternity.
So it's a range. So depending on the limit that you want to take,
Yes.
it's there. And you mentioned something, there is like mwananchi cover. So there was this Linda Mama conversation. I don't know what happened to it. But it can actually come down to as low as the 10,000, 5,000 that you can start planning.
Yes.
And of importance, before I forget, there are alternatives
Yes.
to insurance.
Yes.
So already you're in this.
Yes.
We're done. We're cooked.
Yes.
Someone is coming.
The waiting period does not really
Yeah, I've called Mama Biba, I've called my agents, and they have told me, hey, my boss, you can only have a waiting period on this, so it can't take care of you now.
Yes.
So what is the alternative to that?
Yes.
So this will not be an insurance cover,
Yes.
but it will be a maternity package.
Yes.
And a lot of hospitals have now come up with these packages. So you go to Avenue Hospital,
Yes.
and you'll take up a package. You'll say, we are already expectant,
Yes.
but we want to plan ahead of this.
Yes.
We don't want to get to the day of delivery,
Yes.
and you're telling me figures that are threatening to kill me before the child is born. So you go to Avenue and you start negotiating this conversation.
Yes.
Or to the hospital of your choice.
Yes.
And you start negotiating. So I have a child coming on the way. What packages do you have? And
Yes.
a lot of these packages are very affordable. So you've already said for a normal delivery, you can spend from 40 to 100,000.
Yes.
But if you go earlier
Yes.
and in advance, you'll have a package that will take care of the antenatal conversation.
Exactly.
It will take care of all the vitamins and everything, and the doctor's consultation that you need to do, the ultrasound, and they'll give you a wholesome package. So they'll say, okay, because you've come early, you've pre-booked, you're going to come here, we're going to assign you to a local gyna, then you can take up a package of 30,000.
Yes.
So with that 30,000, you're sure, if you show up at that hospital,
Yes.
you are sorted.
Yes.
So you make sure that's a hospital that is near you.
Yes.
You don't have to crisscross this country,
Yes.
ambulancing all the way in
Yes.
emergencies, so
Yes.
somewhere close to you. So there are alternatives if you did not take up a package before.
And you know what, Mali?
Yeah.
We need to invite, one of our providers out there
Yes.
to just sample some of the maternity
Yeah.
packages that we
Yeah.
have in the
Yeah.
industry. I think it would be an area of interest for a lot of our viewers.
Yes.
Just to know maybe this hospital I can get, for normal delivery,
Yes.
I can get approximately at this figure.
At how much? Okay. So I don't know. Did I answer the question? Was it fully answered? There was what is covered within. Also, we've finished antenatal.
Yes.
That is before delivery. We've covered the delivery.
Yes, and the postnatal.
And these postnatal conversation.
Yes.
You have delivered, you need to go and come back for checkups.
Yes.
And these checkups, especially early on, is important. So what we are monitoring is the baby growing well, are you feeding well, breastfeeding conversations, all that can be covered.
Is probably the CS
The wound.
is it healing well?
Yes. So all that can be done, the dressings can be done and covered within the maternity package. Is there anything I've forgotten on what is covered? So pretty much that's it. There was another question.
I think the last one was in terms of mother and baby.
Yes.
Are they treated separately or as one entity? And then at what point does it come to an end? Does it come to an end? At what point do you say now postnatal care is finished at that age? And then we go back to the individual covers, so the cover of the baby.
Yeah. Okay. So the moment the child is born, that's a different insurable risk.
Yes.
So we have to talk about the insurable interest here.
Yes.
So principles of insurance. So the child, if in the womb, the cover is the mother's.
Yes.
And we take care of that all the way. The moment the child is born, they become an insurable risk by themselves. So it's important that at that point we add the child to the cover. So once we add the child to the cover, then they come with their own benefits.
Yes.
So now we start utilizing the benefits for the child.
And it also comes with a cost implication.
Yes.
So that is not done just for free, The insurance company, if you're adding the child to the existing policy, there's a quote, an additional premium that is sent out to you to now have the child added onto the policy.
Yeah.
Or if you're taking now a standalone cover, and we've seen a lot of parents going that direction nowadays.
Yes.
A child arrives, even before we get into, the mom goes to deliver, they've done their paperwork.
Yeah.
They're just waiting now for us to receive the birth notification, add the child's details now onto the form, and then make the payment and have the child now also having their own policy.
Yes. So there's a point at which they separate. But in the meantime, during the delivery, then both are covered within the mother's primary cover.
Yes.
There was something I needed to address on this child addition conversation. Okay, I'll come back to it. Yes.
Now, I have a follow-up question to that.
Yeah.
Does the cover extend to multiple pregnancies? For instance, I'm pregnant with twins or triplets, and how will it affect the coverage?
Nice. So twins are coming, triplets are coming. Good news. So then, I know in our case today we are talking about maternity. The actual maternity cover.
Yes.
Really doesn't matter how many children, or how many babies are coming.
Yes.
Whether it's triplets, twins, it will take care of the whole delivery process.
Yes.
But as we've said, the moment these children come out, these babies come out, then they become insurable interests on their own. So they need to be onboarded onto the cover as the individual risks.
Yes.
So yes, it does cover the delivery of triplets and the rest of the many. Is it sextuplets or what is that?
Yes.
Yeah. And so all those are covered within that benefit of maternity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Something that I find, especially with a couple that both has, especially say employer-provided kind of covers, good covers, a lot of people actually don't realize that you can use both benefits, to contribute towards the bigger
You're giving the secrets of trade here.
No,
Yeah.
these are things that Kenyans actually need to understand.
Yeah.
Because Mali, there's something I noticed. A lot of the insurance products, the medical covers we have in the market, they are starting to fall short of like the kind of cost that's out there. Very few underwriters are doing 300K plus kind of coverage. And if you're going to have that kind of coverage, you have to either seek an international medical policy, which also tend to be very costly.
Expensive,
Okay. So in a case where, you're married, your husband works in company X, in company Y, both maybe provide,
maternity cover,
medical insurance with a maternity package, they can actually contribute. I've been a beneficiary of that. To
you combine.
And it actually works very seamlessly, and you're able to walk out of the hospital maybe only having paid for the thermometer. It covers. They are able to cover the entire bill. Maybe when I delivered my baby, my daughter Ella, the only thing we paid for when leaving the hospital was actually a thermometer.
Oh wow! And that's maybe a conversation we'll tackle another day on. Once you are discharged, you need to go through your bill. You need to check the details of the bill. So that you're not charged for anything.
Syringes and
Yes, it has to be a running bill, a very well running bill, as discharge summary on the details. So I think that's important. But you can utilize both covers. And then when you have a situation where within the inpatient there is an emergency CS cover. And you also have a maternity cover. So you have a standalone maternity cover, an optional you've purchased. But the inpatient also has an emergency CS cover. So which one works? So in that case, we will look, and if this is a first ever emergency CS that you're going into, then we will want to look at which is the superior benefit.
Of the two.
Then we will use that. Because for sure you've paid for a maternity cover separately. But also you might have a superior inbuilt first ever emergency CS cover. So in that case, we'll look at the superior and we will use that.
Yes, because a lot of clients actually believe that both actually, so if one is 150, the other one is 250, I have a 400,000.
No. So we'll look at the one that is superior. So that takes care of that situation where you have both elements of cover.
Okay.
There was another question.
I do have another question. It's slightly different from what you're talking about. But I wanted to know, will the maternity cover, IVF? Let's say I'm trying to get pregnant. Will it cover that, or will I go to medical, or I just have to, go back to my own?
So these are fertility conversations. Fertility treatment. I must say that as an industry, we've come a long way. A lot. As recent, these were things that were not covered. But because there are realities of life now. We need to have these treatments going. We do have covers that have that. Some will be an exclusion, but some will have that as inbuilt, particularly for corporate covers, because there's a spread of risk. When it comes to individual covers, some of them are not there. But yes, fertility treatment is an upcoming conversation, and it is being covered by some. And we'll want to actually, and I'm glad we are doing this, so that and our listeners will help us. If it is a primary thing, then how do we price it as a business? How do we price it? How do we even educate our clients on where to go for this conversation? So you'll have a person or a couple that is surrendered to not having children. Because they don't have the money for that. So, and I hope we can have this and even have the wheres. Which doctor do I need to consult to be able to start a fertility treatment conversation?
I've actually even seen packages in the industry where they will cover the investigative part of the fertility treatment. So not now the actual IVF, but any tests that need to get to the root cause of maybe the fertility question. They actually do cover that. But I also feel that even as industry players, especially intermediaries, through our association, this is a topic this is something that we need to lobby more.
Yes,
Lobby
yes,
the
yes,
industry players, the underwriters, to look for a way of standardizing.
Agreed.
This.
Yes.
So that, because this is a key need for a lot of families who are probably struggling conceiving the natural way.
We need to address it. It. So good. I think that's a huge one.
Yes.
That's an emotive one.
Yes. I think carrying a baby, having that opportunity, to see your child, to full-time holding that baby, it's really a magical process. It's something that I don't take for granted. Earlier in the show, I mentioned that I've made 2 trips into the delivery room, and only once did I come out, with a live baby.
Oh, wow.
So,
okay.
That process is, when you talk of maternity, it's one of those processes that you go through and you come out of there knowing, yes, there's God. And then you don't take these things for granted,
Yeah.
So to also be able to play a role to ensure that, even families that maybe are struggling in that aspect can get the support also from the industry. I feel it will show also even the human side of, the insurance industry.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Yeah. It's real.
Yes.
It's real. We need to get to those conversations. If it's a mom's club that we need to, please let us know which we can join that and put in the information.
And speaking of moms clubs, a lot of people are very transactional with insurance companies. Maybe it's because of a lack of knowledge, but we've seen so much improvement from the different underwriters. Some insurance companies really going out of their way to ensure they have programs, to support expectant mothers, like Lama's classes and so on. Please tell me, what have you seen in the industry around that?
And it's not just the delivery conversations. It's even post breastfeeding discussions. What the dietary needs at the point of delivery or pre-delivery and after, because a lot of this, the Bible says that there's nothing new under the sun.
Yes,
we can go through these things thinking that I am unique, I'm alone in it, but really it's not. If you've lost a baby, how do you recover from that? If it's an ectopic pregnancy, which is covered, by the way, within the maternity benefits and some within the inpatient benefit. If it's an ectopic pregnancy, how do we move on from that? What kind of counseling? What hospitals do you need to go to? If I want to get expectant again, what do I do? So a lot of underwriters are now insurance companies. I hope by now our listeners know what underwriters are.
Yes.
So insurance companies, a lot of them are recognizing that it's not just the claim.
Yes.
At the claim point, it is how do we discuss these things pre?
Yes.
And how do we do post? Because that wellness conversation is important. We are no longer just a curative discussion.
Yes.
It is pre-discussion. How do I enrich this client? So much so that they will also, by the time they go to hospital, also the claim will not be too costly because there's something they should have done before that they didn't do. They probably should have seen a doctor. And I'm glad as a country, a lot of, what do we call deaths before giving birth? Is it still, but is it mortality rate? Is that what it is? Okay, so basically the deaths that come due to childbirth.
Death of mothers.
Yes, death of mothers do that. And I'm glad as a country we've come a long way in that and we've reduced a lot of that.
Yes.
So what are these actions that need to be taken before and after to make sure that this whole ecosystem is taken care of? Yeah.
And I'm really loving the improvements in the industry. Recently, one of the schemes that I'm covered on, because for us insurance agents, some of the benefits that you get by being a top performer is you actually get to enjoy medical insurance from different providers. So I could be here and I have like 4 hours, and because I'm married to an insurance agent, ladies, do you hear that? I'm married to an insurance agent. He could be having some other 4, so I could be having so much coverage. On one scheme that I'm on, I was able to negotiate a benefit for one of my colleagues or mentees who recently, lost a loved one to actually go through free counseling.
Oh, wow.
Like free grief
Yes.
So and when I tell people, I love to see that human side of the insurance industry. Because the truth is, this is not just a transactional kind of business, to see that you can support, that when you go through a very tough moment, you're able, to get into either a virtual, session with a psychotherapist, or a grief counselor, just to
as part of being a client, as part of being the customer of the underwriter of the insurance company, those are some of the services that are offered for free.
Yes.
You get on call, you talk, and I hope as Kenyans we are learning to appreciate the importance of counseling and this psychological conversations, that we don't just let things pass.
Yes.
That yes, this happened, and even postpartum depression is real. Yes, you've even delivered, the child is healthy, but as a mother, there is some emotional well-being that you need to take care of. That is also taken care of. So I'm glad that, yes, as you're saying, we are no longer a transactional business, but we are getting into the meat of what is it that we need to take care of, the wholesome puzzle. Yeah.
And I'm loving that. So the younger generation, our Gen Zs, our younger sisters and brothers, they look more open to actually, they are more open to seeking help.
Yes.
For my age mates, I think I told you my age in the past episode.
Go back to episode 1.
So you'll find you have this proper cover with even ample outpatient benefits, but we are very reluctant to actually seek help. But I think, even just psychological help, mental wellness needs to be treated just like any other. The way I can walk into a facility and seek help because I have this burning sore throat. You can't. I should be able to also walk into a psychiatrist's, clinic, or just any, clinic, and actually seek help.
Okay. I don't know for the men what will the help will need. Maybe witnessing the labor pains and all, but it needs some help after that. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I think there was another question.
Yeah. No. I think from a man's perspective,
yes.
I think it's a silent conversation for us.
Yes.
The question would be like, what does it mean when let's say the pre-planning phase, because the oops is usually the most.
Yeah.
How do you convince people taking an insurance or plan for it? Because I think it's one of the hardest things to tell people. It's easier on paper, but honestly speaking, it's the hardest thing. Yes, but it's easier for the corporate people.
Yes.
Yes.
What about for the normal one? And right, because I think that see also it feels like the corporate person.
Even if you won't get a private medical cover, at least start from the basics. Have your NHIF for now. Okay, just have NHIF. Okay, shift. Is it still working? Am I just in NHIF mode? But that's one,
Yeah, that one.
I have seen a loved one deliver at the major referral hospital. And I was involved in the whole discharge process. And the delivery was through CS and the entire. So I was expecting I'd be hit with a big bill. NHIF covered every single bill.
It works.
And the truth is, even the kind of clearance, the clearance at Kenyatta was faster than this tier 1 hospital. It was so fast.
Okay.
I was just running from this desk, then I'm sent to the NHIF desk, then I queue, and the queue is actually moving. Then I'm sent to the pharmacy, to collect the medicines. So I always say, at a very basic level, please have NHIF now. And if you can afford, because some of us, even though it's very important to have NHIF, but if you want to have access to that tier 2 facility, to that tier 1 facility, then go for a private cover. Please, we can agree, pregnancy is really not an oops moment. We can actually plan for this, because if we are hearing stories of bills going north of 600, bills going north of 300, that medical cover that has that maternity package is there to ensure that you are not going into financial ruin.
Yeah. You've said it. As men, we are referred to as the heads of this whole conversation. Yes. And we have to be the ones leading it. If you say it's really not an oops discussion.
Yes.
If you've committed to this relationship, as a man, I have to take responsibility and say, what have I planned? What is the, and it's basics. It doesn't have to be these conversations of 100 of thousands. We're talking about 500 shillings per month. Yes. Am I paying for myself, and am I including the significant other in this conversation? Yes. So that if and when we are caught in this situation, there's something. So that's a biblical perspective. But beyond that, I would want to challenge the men, and myself included, that this has to be spoken about. Yes. So that our sisters, our cousins and nieces are not caught up in this web where we have to incur so big sums of money when we could have planned earlier. Yes. Now, for the men, we've talked about the insurance option, we've talked about NHIF, and we've also talked about the alternative plan, which is a maternity package. Yes. So if you're already in it, it's come, visit a hospital of your choice and ask them if you can start negotiating a price, so that on that day, whether it is on the day the EDD or past or before, you are sorted. You show up there and you tell your mrembo, don't worry, it's all sorted. Yeah.
Okay. And what a nice way to start, your new family, is there even a better way of introducing your baby into this kind of hours, at least by ensuring that you're leaving the hospital without having to drop your title deed in the finance. I mean, some of the stories we hear, and in an environment where everyone else is really hard pressed for money, your community may want to come through for you, but they may not even be they may not be having the financial capacity to do so. So let's move away from the mchango. My people will come for me, because probably just saving in advance or even pre-planning and deciding, we want, to add a baby, to have an addition to our family. So how about we do a sinking fund through a money market, get this money, or even take advantage of IPF. Because that's a conversation for another day.
That is insurance premium financing. We shall address that accordingly.
So how can I, also take advantage of this insurance premium financing, which is a short-term loan that allows you to pay for your, maybe hefty insurance premium bill, and you enjoy the cover as you pay back, the financing institution.
But Charlene, we've had you as men.
Yes.
To Mebadilika, we have changed. We're going to plan this thing properly.
Yes.
Yeah. There was the last one, then, okay. Good. So I think we've covered a lot of it.
Yes.
So maternity is key, and we'd want to hear from our audience what other aspect of the maternity bit we've not covered.
Yes.
I think in time we'll be able to put out some of the packages that are there. How much is it actually to cover this conversation? How do you inquire from your HR if you're employed for the benefits? And I think it's key. Before, as you show up to work every day, get to know what your maternity benefit is.
Yes.
So that immediately it comes where you know where you're operating.
Exactly.
You know which hospital you can go to deliver. Yes. You can even consult which hospitals are these that have the best maternity facilities of repute, and even beyond that, the general hospitals.
Yes.
Which one near you has a maternity package or facility? So I think that's a general overview of it.
And I'm happy this maternity discussion, we were able to discuss the maternity benefit as a standalone.
Yes.
I think it's always thrown into the discussion of inpatient, outpatient.
Yeah.
So it's spoken about in one liner, and all you're told is there's a waiting period, and then that's
you move on.
So today we've done the maternity benefit justice. Good job.
Good. Thank you for joining us once again. Truth be told, These are hard conversations.
Yes, and I hope you're really enjoying the conversations and the spotlight that we are putting on our industry, on the products, the benefits. There's still so much for you. I can't wait to see whom we will have on the podcast, on this table, in the next episode. You do not want to miss this. I'm your co-host, Mama Bima Kenya.
Male Mtoto Mwanza. See you next time.